Hello and welcome back to another tactical analysis. Today it's going to be on Napoli and the transformation they've undergone now with the signing of Kevin De Bruyne and how that changes them. And in my opinion, for the better. Now, Napoli winning Serie A last season under Antonio Conte after finishing 10th the year before was one hell of an achievement. And they've underlined that by signing what has quite possibly been one of, if not the best midfielder in Europe for the last, you could say, up to a decade or so. He's definitely in the mix regardless. And I feel like Kevin De Bruyne offers this Napoli team a little bit of what they are lacking in that midfield area in terms of just an all-round creative threat, passing maestro. They've had Lobotka, but Lobotka I've always felt like was more of a first-phase passer in terms of where he receives the ball and where he looks to progress it through the initial line. He also carries the ball fantastically, but we know from Kevin De Bruyne's influence in the Premier League just how well-rounded he is as a playmaker in every single phase of play, and it's demonstrated here by Napoli. If I just jump onto this first screen that we can see here, this is Kevin De Bruyne making this movement into the left back position, left centre back. There is Spinazzola here, who is the left back, and Juan Jesus, the left centre back, and he is going into the gap in between them, coming from his sort of left attacking midfield position. Gets the ball now, as you can see, Cagliari are playing with the sort of 2-3-5. This is from their game at the weekend before the international break. There's two strikers, and there's the Cagliari midfield three, and now the outside midfielders come in to close down De Bruyne, prevent him from looking forward and playing to what's in front of him. The biggest issue for this, for a Cagliari point of view, Kevin De Bruyne coming into this position means that when he turns inside, he's on his stronger right foot. And as you can see now, he's face and play. He's got the curl he could want to exact his movement. And in the next slide, if I just pass this over, what that then means is in one pass, instead of just taking the easy option of going back to this guy, Juan Jesus back in the centre, he can quickly transfer it over to Rachmani on the far side with a great pass under pressure to then play it to him in space outside of that Cagliari shape. As you can see here, this is the striking two. The outside midfielders come into De Bruyne, so the rest of the midfielders have to cover around. And not only does this leave Rachmani in a lot more space, but then this also leaves Di Lorenzo in a massive amount of space in this right back position to receive it, and then look to use wide combinations, wide overloads to create a clear attacking opportunity for Napoli. And De Bruyne's quality to sucker the opposition over to him, to then use a lot of quality to quickly transfer it to the far side, will only level up this Napoli midfield. Now, as I've just said, he's an all-phase midfielder. This is him now. He's in between the two centre-backs now, not just centre-back and left-back. And as De Bruyne is getting older now, lacking mobility, you'll see him in these deep positions throughout his time at Napoli. He can get on the ball, find little positions where he can just dictate play. And him in this central position here, as I say, in between the two centre-backs, Juan Jesus on the outside, then there's Rachmani outside of him here, means that the front two for Cagliari are then trying to block central passing lanes and trying to cover De Bruyne as well as the wider centre-backs. De Bruyne can hold on to the ball and then quickly transfer it to Juan Jesus, who now has all this time on the left-hand side to take the ball forward because of the timing and the temperament that Kevin De Bruyne has displayed in this position. As you can see here, Juan Jesus now has the ball, and he has a lot more space to move into because of these two or these three actually on this side. There's the right wing-back Martin Spinazzola, there's the right centre-back on Scott McTominay, and there's the central centre-back on Lorenzo Luca. All three pinning them back. De Bruyne then pulling off away from that position means that that space is free for Juan Jesus to attack and find that pass forward. And as you can see here, there's McTominay making the movement off of his marker into the space between centre-back and full-back. It doesn't come to anything, but McTominay holds it up and they recycle it. And who gets the ball back? It's, again, Kevin De Bruyne in this position, who has the quality now in a more advanced position to create a clear attacking opportunity. And the reason for that is because, as you can see now, Scott McTominay has dragged his marker over to this position. He's a little bit wider than he'd like to be. This then gives the invitation for this run from Anguissa from his right centre midfield position to try and exploit space in between Luca and McTominay into that space. And De Bruyne finds him excellently with a pass. He can see the run coming a mile away. I mean, just look at De Bruyne here, ready to pull the trigger with that pass. His timing's perfect and pulls it off excellently. Doesn't result in a goal or even a good opportunity, but having someone with the vision and the technical quality to create these opportunities complements the engines and the physical runners that Napoli have throughout this team. As in Anguissa and McTominay, you have just pure engines that can make movements, run into space, attack space, get the odd goal, but without that real midfield maestro to find them. They now have that. The orchestra now has the conductor, and De Bruyne is that 2AT. As you can see here, there's Kevin De Bruyne coming into this sort of double pivot position, and with him is Di Lorenzo. And I feel like the fluidity in this Napoli team is very underrated, and the fullbacks play a huge part in this, and how there's a lot of positional rotations, there's a lot of fluidity, there's movements in this, and I feel like this move specifically captures all of that. So you have here Lobotka dropping in between his two centre backs. As I've said before, Lobotka's a fantastic first phase passer and getting the ball out from that defensive line. It allows those two to split. De Bruyne making this movement in, and like I say, the intelligence of De Bruyne, it's not just when he's on the ball, is when the problem arises for the opposition. He's dragging a marker inwards, creating space on the outside, and with Di Lorenzo coming in, creating that extra body in that 5 versus 4 in Napoli's favour. So if they can find the free man and make sure he can play the ball to the outside, there's Juan Jesus on the overlap on the left-hand side. It happens. There we go. Di Lorenzo manages to find the pass, and Juan Jesus has that space to attack because De Bruyne, selflessly knowing where the game is at that point in time, has made the movement from that position to come infield, drag markers away, and with the midfield combination which he was a part of, there's now a pass and movement opportunity for that left-hand side to be able to drive forward. And as you can see here, Spinazzola occupying his marker, McTominay pinning him back. There's Lorenzo Luca in the centre here, and then you get this. Napoli are in business. There's McTominay attacking the box. There's Luca attacking the box. There's Anguissa making a run in. There's Politano coming in from right wing. You even have De Bruyne joining back up with the attack, and you have Di Lorenzo coming in here, and having Spinazzola as well, who is a right-footed left back. As you can see, he's turning inside. The defender opposite him, who's marking him, is showing him on the inside because he's more accustomed to having a wing back go down the line as opposed to inside. So he's covering the width. So Spinazzola's field of view is in this position here where he's got all the Napoli players in his eye line, and he can find passes into them. He can find looping crosses to the far post. He can find passes into their feet. So let's just say if McTominay has the defender pinned back, if maybe Lorenzo Luca does, well then there's Anguissa in close support. There's De Bruyne and Di Lorenzo coming in close support. So there's quick little interchanges of play, or he can even just lay it back to one of these guys. Because of those attacking players for Napoli, these guys are having to rush back and try and protect that central area, meaning there's more space in behind them where De Bruyne can get on the ball and use this to his advantage to create chances which no other player can create, using the movement and the physicality around him with the energy to just enable greater moments for him to capitalise on. So on the ball, offers a lot more technical quality. Still isn't finely cogged yet. This was a 1-0 win in the last minute of the game, but you can see the class that De Bruyne brings to this team with his passing and his ability to find those runs, and it's going to be something Napoli are going to exploit huge, especially in Serie A, but it'll give him a great technical weapon to use in Europe as well. Now, an underrated part of Kevin De Bruyne's game, I've always felt, is his pressing and his defensive work, and as you can see here, him and Lorenzo Luca are marking the left centre-back and the centre-back. The right centre-back is free. The one thing Napoli didn't anticipate was the keeper being the extra man. So De Bruyne has gone on to mark the goalkeeper. Issue with this is that it leaves this guy free in a lot of space. He's got all the time in the world. If Cagliari can play through that initial press, De Bruyne is doing his utmost to make up that ground and press him and close him down aggressively. Doesn't work though. As you can see in this next picture, a quick little wall bounce pass to this player here can then play it to the player in space. De Bruyne and Luca are far too narrow, and he can then get up the field with the ball and create a cleaner attacking opportunity. Where Napoli have this plan, though, is Spinazzola coming from his sort of left-back, left-wing-back position to go and engage and get close to him. McTominay, who was the more advanced player on the ball, staying up on that defensive line alongside Luca, is now dropping a lot deeper to mark the more attacking midfielder of the Cagliari midfield three, allowing De Bruyne to go and press. McTominay can use his marking ability to just stay disciplined, plug any holes in that midfield, and keep De Bruyne from doing too much work in the midfield. De Bruyne, more offensive in the defensive stage, then more reserved in the attacking phase. It gets the best out of both him and McTominay's quality, and I feel like they balance off of each other really well in that regard, positionally, and in terms of just what their role roles are in the team. And McTominay sticking to his marking roles well means that Lobotka and Anguissa can go and commit to their pressing roles excellently. Not just in the pressing stage, however, in the defensive stage where Napoli sort of turned back into a sort of faux 5-3-2 because of the work that Politano does in his dual role as a sort of right wing back / right winger. But what you do have, apart from that, is that midfield four looking to try and protect the centre, Anguissa, Lobotka, McTominay, and then De Bruyne on the outside of him. It means that he has the use of McTominay's engine inside of him to just make sure that central area is a little bit disciplined. Also means he can hang up the field a little bit higher to make it a front two, if anything, with Lorenzo Luca. And as you can see here, very hard to penetrate the centre for any position team in this defensive scenario. Very well protected, but will also maintain a sort of more man-marking-y base, even in these deeper defensive stages. So as you can see here, there's a standard little bit of man-marking in the midfield. They've reserved to that now. Anguissa and Lobotka on the two pivots. McTominay dropping deeper to mark the more advanced midfielder. And there's a little bit more defensive work relinquished now from Kevin De Bruyne, who was up top with Lorenzo Luca, ready to receive the ball if Napoli win it in these areas, to then play forward. Because you can just see the space he has. If one of those midfield three who are adept ball winners win that, pass to him, Lorenzo Luca can run in behind. They're in business. Also, now you're getting Politano moving up for his right wing back position to more of a right midfielder, making it a bit more 4-4-2 with McTominay on the outside left. Very narrow because he's going to press his marker right here. And turnovers happen now when they go and engage, when they need to get physical, or when they need to go and win their duels. They do. Napoli, a very physical, aggressive, and defensively astute team. And as much as De Bruyne can be a weapon in these scenarios, doesn't just have to be him. But the runs you get from Lorenzo Luca in this position as he's looking to curl around the outside of his wider centre-back to receive it in behind, uses physicality to carry it up the pitch. A bit raw, technically, Luca. Sometimes his movement wasn't right, caught offside a little bit. Sometimes is getting across the marker and presenting himself as the passing option for De Bruyne or the midfield was a little bit mistimed and just a little bit ill-judged, but he's still young, he's still learning his trade, and you'd like to think with a Kevin De Bruyne in that team, he can learn so much and can only benefit his own career as a result. De Bruyne is still offering a little bit of what Napoli lacked and just levels up that team already, even though they were Serie A champions last year. It just gives them another string to their bow to go and retain the crown and have a good crack at Europe. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below. Like the video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to see more. In a bit, lads.